What is up, YouTube? Welcome to another episode of From the Booth to the Court. It's your boy Roy, and we are back with another fire video for the channel. Now, in today's video, I'm actually going to be talking about my choices for the first round matchups in the Eastern Conference for the NBA. Now, for those who don't know, the NBA season actually ended a few days ago. The playoffs are actually starting this Saturday, and they actually ended the season with a bang. We saw the last games of Dwayne Wade, the last games of Dirk Nowitzki, and we actually had a few teams on the West and the East who actually had deciding seeding spots, actually determining on wins and losses in the last few games. But those games hadn't happened. The spots are actually locked in. So I'm actually going to be talking about who I think is going to be winning the 4 matchups that we have for the first round games in the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
Now, the first matchup that we actually had popping off, we got the Milwaukee Bucks at the number 1 seed taking on the number 8 seed, the Detroit Pistons. Now, looking at Detroit, they actually been having an up and down year as far as their team. They actually started off doing good, and to me, they had Blake Griffin playing MVP-like ball at the beginning of the season. I mean, he added the three-point shot to his arsenal, and I mean, he was trying it before, but now it's just super wet. I mean, it's splashed down pretty much every time he shoot it. The man is an all-star type caliber, and he's really actually got to his stride, recovering from the injuries and actually finding his place with the Pistons team since being traded from the Clippers. And then they got a big body in the post doing it for real, 2020 vision. That's Mr. Andre Drummond. The man pretty much is 20 points, 20 rebounds, actually trying to swat shots and do whatever he can, and just being a straight beast in the post. Now, the team has actually been, fighting and gritting and grinding the last few weeks to kind of secure that 8th spot. I mean, they had an actual tussle between the Charlotte Hornets, the Miami Heat, and they all was basically trying to fight to get that last spot in the playoffs. But ultimately, they strung enough games together and got enough W's to be able to actually solidify the AC. So it's good to actually see them in the playoffs, and they're actually doing good with their coach, who's actually a first-year coach for the team, and that's Dwayne Casey, who came over from the Toronto Raptors, was having a whole bunch of success with Toronto, basically getting to the playoffs, and unfortunately, they just had to match up with those Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James every season. But hey, he's on a new team. He's basically still bringing and coaching his team, still bringing them to the playoffs. So it's good to actually see what they're going to do in the playoffs. But they're matching up against the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. And the Milwaukee Bucks have actually been dominating pretty much the whole season. They got the best record in the NBA. And I mean, they really are not lacking in any category when it comes to their team. I mean, if you look at the coach, they got Mike Budenholzer. And to me, I feel like he is basically a strong candidate for Coach of the Year. I actually think he's going to win the award, in my opinion. And I mean, he's not new to the award. He actually won it when he was coaching the Atlanta Hawks, so it's basically good to see that he can take his knowledge and his know-how of coaching that he actually got from the Spurs Popovich tree. So, we got to shout out my squad. But he basically is just taking his coaching prowess from one organization to another, and is still showing results. Now, you got Giannis Antetokounmpo, who actually is playing MVP-like ball, even Defensive Player of the Year-like ball. I mean, their team don't have no weaknesses. You look at the actual point guard spot, they got Eric Bledsoe, who's a stud at point. You look at their actual wings. I mean, Giannis and Chris Middleton are pretty much locked down defenders on the wing. They both actually are tall and lanky and got long wingspans to actually throw off shots and just make it hard for opposing offensive teams to kind of come in there and dominate. And they are even solid in the post. They got Brook Lopez, and the man is basically able to step out all the way past the three-point range to be able to knock down shots, opening that offense up and making them a big threat. Now, in that series, I got Milwaukee actually beating the Pistons 4-1. Now, I don't think the Pistons are going to get swept because, I mean, what you're seeing that the last few weeks, them having a lot of grit, having a lot of dog and a lot of fight in them to actually secure that 8th spot seed, I do see them probably winning the 4th game in the series because they don't want to take that sweep and take that L on their home court. So I do think they'll be able to fight to win that one. But eventually, I think it's going to be over after that 5th game. So I got Milwaukee winning that series 4-1. Now, the next series, the series that we got popping off in the Eastern Conference is we got the number 2 seed Toronto Raptors taking on the number 7 seed, the Orlando Magic. Now, the Orlando Magic, they've been having an up and down rocky year. I mean, to start the season off the first month or two, they actually were a team that was basically in the top 5 in the East, you know, kind of surprising people. They are definitely a team that can get it going from behind the three-point line. I mean, they basically kind of run and gun, up and down type team. And then you got Sasha Vujacic, basically a solid player for that squad. And I think, you know, if they're able to get him some more help, you know, some years down the line, that team will definitely be a solid team to look out for. Do I think they got enough right now to actually make a splash in the playoffs or to be a team that could be reckoned with? I don't think that they have enough right now at this moment. But I mean, with the core that they have and the young players, if they able to actually add some nice veteran talent that can gel with that talent that they already got in Orlando, I think they'll definitely be a good team to actually watch out for years down the line. But their actual opponent that they're facing, the number 2 Toronto Raptors, I mean, what can you say about that squad? I mean, they took a big step actually trading their franchise player DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard, who basically was expressing that he was trying to get out to LA and get out west to be in California. But they took that risk. They got rid of DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and the pick to actually get Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. Now, Danny Green and Kawhi are 2 perennial defenders, basically upper echelon when it comes to that defensive end. Kawhi is one of the best two-way players that we actually have in the NBA today. Danny Green is fired from behind the three-point line, definitely a 3-and-D guy. They're actually making big moves in Toronto. I mean, they went and actually acquired Marc Gasol right before the end of the trade line to get another playoff proven tested player in the post. And that just basically is a solid team. I mean, they kind of like the Milwaukee Bucks. They really don't have any loopholes. They got great defenders, great post game. They got a solid point guard with Kyle Lowry, and they just really a strong team that I definitely can see making it all the way to the finals and coming out the East, just like I feel the same way about the Milwaukee Bucks. And their first-year coach, Nick Nurse, is basically kind of solid in my eyes. I mean, he basically took over a squad that really wasn't a bad squad, but he got them playing solid basketball, and they're definitely fun to watch. So I actually got the Toronto Raptors, unfortunately, sweeping the Orlando Magic 4-0. Like I mentioned, the Orlando Magic can be they are a good team, and they definitely can get it going, but I just don't think they have the firepower to be able to compete with a Toronto Raptors team. So unfortunately, I got them getting swept 4-0. Now, the next matchup for the East we have is the Philadelphia 76ers taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this matchup is actually one of the matchups I think that may be the best playoff matchup in the East. And the reason why I say that is because looking at the Brooklyn Nets, they're really a team that kind of surprised me, and I'm pretty sure they surprised a lot of people. I mean, the improvement of D'Angelo Russell, I got him nominated for Most Improved Player of the Year. I did a video about that a few videos back, so if you're on my channel, go ahead and check that out. It's a great watch. But I just think that they got a lot of solid players, a solid young core. I like Spencer Dinwiddie. And I mean, you're hearing a lot of people in free agency, you know, it's coming up talking about wanting to go to New York and all this other stuff. And a lot of people, when you think about New York, you obviously think about the Knicks, just like when you think about LA, you think about the Lakers. But the same thing that happens to the Lakers is the same thing that happens to the Knicks, and that's that strong media coverage, a strong media outlet that's going to be present for any star player that try to go to that team. I mean, you're going to have reporters, cameras, and everything all in your face. But, I mean, you got a team like Brooklyn who's basically in New York. Can be a solid squad. They got a solid young core that can be a real enticing place for a star who wants to go to New York but doesn't really want to battle that media frenzy that they have to deal with signing with the Knicks. So watch out for the Brooklyn Nets this summer. I feel the same way about them that I feel about the Clippers. You know, they providing the actual scenery and stuff that a lot of players want without the extra hoopla of those big markets that they have as far as the Lakers and the Knicks. So that's a solid team, but looking at Philadelphia on the other end, I mean, talk about a team who's not playing any games and is going for the gusto. I mean, they basically made 2 ridiculous trades in the middle of the season that I think pushed them up to being a team that definitely has enough firepower to be able to compete with a Golden State out west. I mean, they acquired Tobias Harris and acquire Jimmy Butler. And it looks like everybody on the team is actually finding a role. I mean, Ben Simmons, a lot of people want to talk about his game because he doesn't have a jumper right now at the moment or doesn't take jump shots. But the guy is still young and is still actually fresh in his NBA career. And with his work ethic, I'm pretty sure that jumper is going to develop. And when it does develop, he's going to be a LeBron-type player in my eyes. I mean, their games are pretty similar. You got Joel Embiid. The man is a solid big man. Definitely an MVP type player when he's healthy and he's playing. I mean, he basically is doing it all. He can step out and be able to shoot the three. He got the mid-range when he's in the post. He got the actual feet work of like a Hakeem Olajuwon, and defensively, he's a monster. You know, I trust the process. When I hear him say trust the process, I believe it because they're showing up. You got Jimmy Butler. He came through. He actually has this role as the closer. So when it gets to those fourth quarter crunch time, they got somebody that they can go to who's basically going to specialize in getting that clutch bucket and putting that team over the top. And then Tobias Harris is just going to basically fill in wherever else he has to fill in and just kind of make up for whatever player is lacking with those three players that I mentioned earlier. So that's going to be a solid go-around, a solid matchup. Now, I do got the Philadelphia 76ers winning that matchup 4-1. I do think that Brooklyn will be able to actually get one of those games. But, I mean, that Philly team is so stacked. Definitely a team I see that can also make it to the actual finals out east. And the last matchup I'm actually going to be talking about is the number 4 seed Boston Celtics taking on the number 5 seed Indiana Pacers. I mean, the Pacers, they actually started off the season phenomenally. I mean, they was killing it. Definitely was like in the top 3 spots in the East. Unfortunately, their star player, Victor Oladipo, actually had that season-ending injury. And, I mean, when that happened, a lot of people thought that it was over and they just thought that it was done for the Pacers. But they actually kept fighting. They kept getting W's. They kept just gritting and grinding out games. And they stayed in the top 5 in the East pretty much the whole time without Victor Oladipo. I mean, it's a lot of grit and grind in that team. And when he comes back next season, that team is going to be a force to be reckoned with because Victor Oladipo found himself in the league. I mean, he won Most Improved Player, before, and, he pretty much has been standing at the top echelon, standing at that top level as far as competitiveness and competition, and I definitely see the Pacers doing big things. Now, with the with the Boston Celtics, with them being at the number 4 seed, a lot of people have actually kind of been disappointed with their performance. I know I'm one of them, and the reason why people have been so disappointed is because we've seen them actually get to the conference finals last year without their 2 best players, and Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward out with injuries. And, they competed and strived and pushed real hard in the playoffs. So if you look at that squad and what they was able to do last year, everybody was thinking like, man, if they add those 2 best players that they had back on that roster, they pretty much got a team that's deep enough to be able to compete with the Golden State Warriors. They got people who are on the bench that could be starters on other people's teams. But unfortunately, with everybody coming back, it just, hasn't looked good for them. People hasn't been able to gel. People haven't actually accepted their roles that they have given to them by the coach. One minute a player is starting, the next minute he's coming off the bench. So it's really been tough for, them to find a rhythm. And they have actually been underperforming. Now, I think if they are able to flip the switch and get it turned on and get things clicking in Boston, they definitely a team I can see going to the finals. Do I think it's going to happen? I really don't know, just because I don't know if they can flip that switch. It's been so much happening, so many games. Like, they'll win a few games and then lose a few games, and I really just don't know how confident I can be in that team. They do got one of the best closers in the NBA with Kyrie Irving, and one of the best coaches is that I think with Brad Stevens. So they do definitely got a solid squad, but I don't know what to say about that. But I got them actually winning the series against the Pacers 4-2. Now, I think the Pacers are going to get 2 just because, they fight hard. That's a grit and grind team. I definitely think this series will be a lot closer, possibly a lot different if Victor Oladipo was playing. With the way that the Celtics have been inconsistent and giving up games, I think if the Pacers had Victor Oladipo, it might be an upset and the Pacers might could take that series, but that's not the case. But hey, this is my actual choices for the Eastern Conference first round playoffs. If you think it's going to be different, if you think I'm choosing a team that's going to win that you don't think is going to win, or you think I'm giving a team too many games or not enough games, you think maybe that the Toronto Raptors won't sweep the Orlando Magic, let me know in the comment section below. I'm also going to do a video on my Western Conference first round picks as well. I'm actually going to probably put that video up the same day that I put this video up, which will be Friday. So I'm going to have that one up as well. So look out for that one. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button and click that notification bell, so every time we actually upload some content, you can be notified. You can tap into the channel and see what we're doing, because we always talking about sports, art, music, and entertainment, and just basically just having real conversations. So I appreciate you guys tuning into the video. It's your boy Roy from the Booth to the Court, and we out.